Happy Sunday, everybody. Just hanging out for a second. People are logging in. Man, what a wild time. Hey! No, love you, bro. You gotta call me this week. I got prayer stuff I gotta tell you about. So wild. Um, Hope your baby's doing good. I really hope your baby's doing really, really good. Hope you and Renee are killing it. Um, well, yeah. Oh, happy day, everyone. I am feeling pretty good, despite some of the craziness of life. I think. um, yeah, I hope you guys are doing okay in your cities where you guys are. Salt Lake has been going through the same stuff as a lot of other big cities, and um, more specifically, there's just so much uh, political unrest. There's a lot of people that are really upset, and in Salt Lake specifically, there's a young man that was shot to death by the police, and so there's this is months ago, but they were really hoping for an outcome that looked like maybe accountability or justice for the police officers, and that didn't happen the way that people wanted it to, and so stuff got real hairy in the last week, and I think just when people, I feel like I don't know, it's an interesting time here. Um, so it's kind of a weird day. There's sort of a walk and a demonstration protest later this afternoon. I will probably go to that in the spirit and heart of Connor Patrick Green. Words of wisdom that Connor Green would say is be quiet and listen. And so I'm going to go to do that. I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to listen to what it sounds like they're saying right now. And for the family of the people that just lost their son, for a city that's trying to figure out its way, just a real intense time. So I don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods, but there's a lot kind of going on. So um, I wanted to give everybody kind of like an update. I feel relieved in a sense because I made a promise to the Rev community at the beginning of the year, that we were going to have some stuff pop off in 2020 for us. Um, and man, I just got thrown for a loop this year. And so, for those of you guys that don't know, the plan was to kick off a Rev podcast. Me and my dear friend and our amazing and intrepid comic performer, pastor genius, Johnny Giavotti, we're going to co-host that. I started recording interviews in January and just wanted to make sure it got produced okay. And I was just making sure that it was going to not sound horrendous. And then COVID. And so I started doing these Sunday lives just to try to put stuff out for the Rev crew and start doing something. And in the meantime, I realized I have like 14 weeks of interviews, 14 different interviews with amazing people. And then we were just going to fill it up. And so I launched this last week. We have launched the Rev Talks podcast. It's not quite up on Apple yet, I don't think, but it's on Spotify, Google. It's like on a bunch of other platforms. I think it's coming up on Apple Podcasts pretty quick. But if you want to be a part of those conversations and see what's going on, Galen, love you. Tamarita, good to see you. Obi-Wan, love you, fool. Norway, what's up? Go on a boat for me, just for fun. Last time Sleeping Giant was in Norway, we took a boat to get ice cream, and I felt like, what is the world? Anyways, it was beautiful. So we launched the Rev Talks podcast. If you want to be part of that discussion and kind of hear some of the conversations that are happening, please do that. Please visit. Spotify is probably the easiest one to get a hold of right now. Follow that podcast. I'm learning it all. I'm learning how it all works. Optimizing stuff and getting stuff set up. But so we have a podcast that you can listen to. And so I feel like that's really awesome. We will probably do an interview episode with a guest, and then Johnny and me will probably just do like a talk through episode together and chill and maybe have other friends on. So expect for the foreseeable few months, a couple episodes a week coming out on the Rev Talks podcast. Please follow that, share it, subscribe it. It's a huge help for us. I'll probably do like little promotions or whatever. It's trying to make it cool. So anyways, shout out to some of the homies that have been helping me this last week behind the scenes just to get that up. I really appreciate you all. You're some of you guys are just amazing and don't want any credit publicly, so thank you. That's pretty wild. We did our July digital run for Run Against Traffic, and trying to put that together. To be honest with you guys, I feel a little bit like I'm wondering if, as we do our monthly like digital runs, when people run from all over, if we said if we can get a specific number of people running, then we'll donate X amount of money to an organization just to try to boost our participation and bless some of the good guys with our monthly runs. So we're just trying to figure it out, putting it together. But especially with some of the news in how deep-seated, dark, and interwoven into the fabric of power, human trafficking, sex trafficking, manipulation, force, fraud, and coercion of humans seems to be so deeply embedded in our culture that as it's coming out, people are like, holy smokes, like this is worse than I thought. And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. Absolutely. So I just want to throw that out. If you care at all about participating in the fight against human trafficking, join us, Run Against Traffic with us. If you more specifically, right, because we don't just want to be a culture of people that are against stuff. We want to be for something. And I've noticed that if Chrissy Green, the genius wife that I have, she says, if you focus your energy on what you're against, that's what you're going to get. But if you can actually focus your energy and your time on what you want, not on what you don't want, you can manifest something much more powerful in your own life. And so we don't just want to be against human trafficking. I want to be for the restoration of all of its victims and for actually creating a whole new culture in society where we look back at that and go, it was the oldest profession in the world. It was born out of pain and disconnection and brokenness and greed and sin and all sorts of stuff. And now we look back and we can't believe that we used to do that to each other. And so I want to be for something. So if you want to be against human trafficking, join us, great. But if you want to be for supporting the good guys as they actually change this thing, then that's mostly my heart is let's be for the restoration of the people that have been hurt. Let's be for creating a whole new thing. Again, I had a really amazing personal coach named David, who totally probably helped save my life as I was navigating. I thought I just needed like business and development coaching, and about a month into starting, my brother Connor died, and then I was just like trying to stay on point. And so he really challenged me and led me through it. And one of the things that he would say is, Jesus was the one who was, the one who is, and the one who will come. He is almost like this, that God is the same yesterday, God is the same today, God is the same forever. And so a lot of us are used to, we know the Jesus that was, we know the Jesus that is, but we don't necessarily orient our life around the Jesus that will be. And so that's more about if you can have a future vision for those of you guys, right? Without a vision, it says in Proverbs, without vision, a people perish. Without a future, we waste, right? Without something to look forward to, we shrink, right? Like, so without a vision, people perish. And so if you can grab a hold of vision, Jesus, if you grab a hold of vision that there's a future for you, a lot of times it pulls you out of your past and you're actually able to live in the present because you're looking forward to something. And so that's why we say we have to be like, it's not vision like organization. Like we better have a 10-year vision in our organization for Rev. It's like, no. We just have to have a vision that pulls us out of what we knew and pulls us into the future. Because if you're not believing for something, I saw Comedians in Cars and Coffee, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, that was Elaine from Seinfeld. She said her mom used to tell her all the time, you just have to have something to look forward to in life, just as you wake up. It's just nice to have something to look forward to. Oh, we're taking that trip at the end of the week. Oh, we're doing these. It's like if you just have something to look forward to, It's amazing the way that you're able to be present. And so I would say pain and depression and stuff from our past can be a very strong motivator of how you're going to live today. I would propose hope for the future is a stronger motivator to live now. Hope from the future is a stronger motivator for how you really want to show up today. I'd rather you live in hope, looking forward to something, than in a sense of like residue and heaviness because of all that stuff that happened behind you. I do that all the time. I had a horrendous day yesterday. We did our run. I had a hard time. I just have a hard time sometimes. And my general, I try to be an outgoing or like happy human, sort of. But I just had the worst day yesterday. I literally felt like I just was having like a bad day. And I tried to like do some tasks and like work my way through the day, and it just didn't happen, man. I just sucked most of the day. I was pissed. I was super frustrated. Chrissy Green was like just doing her best to put up with me, and it was like I just was blowing it, man. I couldn't seem to get out of my own head. And a lot of it was about maybe something that I didn't have a vision for my day. I was trying to. I just would say, you guys, hope is a better motivator than hurt. Love really is a better future than maybe the disappointments in the past. We can bring those into today, or we have a chance to say, Jesus was, Jesus is, Jesus will come. And so, like my coach David Gerber used to say, grab a hold of the Jesus that will come and pull yourself to him, and that will pull you out of the thing and you can get present. And it took me most of the day yesterday to get present, and I didn't do it well. I just didn't. You could ask Chrissy Green. Anyways, for those of you guys that just are having like a weird time with all the stuff, it's like, just, you're not alone. I mean, it's a crazy time. So all that to be said, I feel hopeful because now these Sundays I just get to kind of like be here. I used to want the Sundays to feel kind of like our podcast because we just were waiting. I was waiting to stop. Yeah, Kyle, can you stop and realign is the best. Yeah, sometimes you got to do it like 5 times a day. Gerber used to say, and this is why I love Jesus so much, is that not only are we second chance kids in general, right? Like if you've come to Christ, you've been given a cosmic do-over in a deep way, but because it says in the Bible, the mercies of God, mercies are new every day, which means we get to begin again. We get to begin again 1,000 times a day if we need to. And in culture, we don't get to always begin again 1,000 times a day. But in the eternal plan of Jesus, in his mercy, we do. There's grace for Jesus. There's grace with Jesus for us to begin again 1,000 times. There's not always grace in culture or family or humans to do that. But you have to know, cosmically, eternally, epically, there is so much grace for us to be human and to become the full picture of who Jesus made us to be. It will really hurt my heart. It hits me. There is plenty of grace. There's so much grace for us to begin and begin and begin and begin. We don't have to give up on ourselves. We don't have to give up on one another, even though it's easier. You know, it's just so like, yeah, Kyle, yeah, love you too, you and Sarah, love you guys. But we can begin again. The mercies of God are brand new every day. And so I'm so grateful for second chances. I'm so grateful for mercy. I'm so grateful that we get to like start again. We get to start again. So that was wild. Hey, Jess Ritchie, what's up, lady? Dang. So yeah, that's what I'm saying is Jesus was, he is, and he will come. And if we have a vision for our future, if you grab a hold of the Jesus that will come, that is coming, you can grab a hold of him and hit him as your vision. He will pull you out of maybe the past, and you can actually get present because he's your hope. If we live from the pain of the past, a lot of times it's very difficult to stay present. We like keep going back into stuff. But if you grab a hold of him as vision and allow him to be the Jesus that's gonna do something, it's like Julia Louis-Dreyfus said, like Elaine from Seinfeld said, he becomes a thing to look forward to. And in the looking forward to him, you're able to be present now. Even if yesterday sucked, you can begin again because he's what I'm looking forward to. And he gives us stuff to look forward to. Anyways, that's a long intro. What I'm saying is I'm glad the podcast is out. Please follow the podcast. Now this, I just get to kind of like riff. Because we actually got the podcast out. Yay! And then, dude, as even just like a gift, I got sent the files for my last acoustic record, which I just didn't have the record. We put it out on Come and Live for free, and I heard it, but I never downloaded it. I never had it. I don't have it. So my homie Matt Nanez, who was in an amazing band called Swans of Never, check him out. He's in Nashville, and he sent me the files for my record. So I was able to put up the White Flag record on SoundCloud for free. So if you guys want to check that out, it's awesome. So then I was looking for the first White Flag record I ever wrote. It was a full length that I wrote in like 2004 when I was in Redlands. And what happened is I put it out in 2004 and recorded it with my homie Joey Marciano and Charlie Bybee. And it was just me and my guitar. And I made a full-length record and gave it out to a bunch of friends, and I packaged it myself, and like I couldn't find it, and I found my one copy, and then I realized that Sleeping Giant had managers that loved me a lot, had that record, and they put it out. So I found my first White Flag record on Apple Music, and so it's on Apple Music. It's called A White Flag. The record is called The Campfire Gospel. And it's older, and I love it. I found it, yay! So I gotta pull the files off so I can actually put it on SoundCloud for free too. But I don't know how to get it anywhere else. I'm just like a dad that's like the tech, whatever. So anyways, I was super stoked because I feel a little bit like we're trying to connect the dots here. So the podcast episodes are up on Spotify, and we have been updating the Rev Talk YouTube channel. So if you're ever just at work and you want to do YouTube stuff, these weeklies have been up, and the podcast episodes are going to go up with the video interviews and all that stuff. So if you want to become a part of our kind of overarching conversations and all the stuff that's going on, you can find us now a few different places. So enough of that. Yeah, let's do this. So good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope that you guys are all doing well. I'm going to say a quick prayer, and then I was going to read this thing. And for those of you guys that I think my goal will be, if you're interested, Rev as a community of sort of disciples and church planners and evangelists and pastors and stuff like that, we have our own like leadership development and our own community for leaders, because it's really challenging to be a church leader. It's very challenging to serve people in the faith context, because it's really it's an interesting thing to give yourself to. And so we have like a sort of space that's just for our very connected kind of leadership crew, people that have gone through the journey together, and that's for us. But what we want to do is do a potentially like a monthly general like church service online for anyone that wants to be a part of it. Probably do a little bit of actual like worship. We'll probably take communion. We'll probably just make a ceremony in the internet together. So stay tuned if you want to be a part of kind of the Rev Church thing. Stay tuned. So if you're not part of our actual like leadership community and we're not in that kind of relationship, we want to provide a space for people that maybe are intrigued or feel like we could make sense for them to even just celebrate Jesus together. So know that if you haven't been going, or you don't necessarily know where to find like a church service in a safe way for you, know that we're going to do that. So we'll have some stuff out there for just general, anyone that wants to come can come. And so we're figuring out how to do that together as well. Let's do this for a second. I had a really interesting week. For those of you guys that were in Love School with me last week, man, it was wild. I felt like it was right on time that we started talking about how we were going to treat one another, and especially in the social media context. I mean, I had people in my family fighting with one another. I had people in our church community that I realized had these disagreements and stuff, and so I feel like it was right on time, and it's very important that we say, hey, how we treat each other is the standard. Again, Jesus says Christianity is how you love your enemy, not how you love your friend. Christianity is actually how you would lay your life down for those that hate you. Christianity, following Christ, is essentially, would you die for horrible people? Right? That's what Romans says. Very rare, very seldomly would we ever give up our life for a good person, let alone would you ever give up your life for people that were horrible? That's exactly what Jesus of Nazareth did. He demonstrated his love to all of us in that when we hated him, he died for us, died for me. When I hated him because I didn't know him and I didn't understand him and I didn't want to understand him. I was opposed to him and he died for me. Whoa, whoa. Would you die for your enemy? That's Christianity. Would you lay down your life for your enemy? So there's a standard of love that is very, very different when it comes to Jesus than what we're kind of doing to one another. The thing that I feel a bit like I want to say out loud is, hey, and I'm saying this, I think I have a heart for Jesus. I don't think I have the heart of Christ. I don't think I have the mind of Christ. I think I have the mind that wants to be about Jesus, but I'm just me. So let me just say this. There is a whole lot of culture war happening between generations of people, between people groups, between cultures, tribes, tongues, nations, and as a whole global community, if the narrative becomes, I can't disagree with you, or I become the worst thing, if we can't have dialogue, we are so screwed. We are intelligent people, and intelligence to me is not either or, good, bad, right or wrong, black and white all the time. Intelligence is I can hear different point of views and my head doesn't have to explode. I can hear stuff that I totally disagree with and I don't have to dishonor anyone. In our culture, we would say we promote in public, we correct in private. Why? Because I really believe that just like with God's kindness leads us to change how we're thinking. Kindness leads you to change how you're thinking. Shame, guilt, some of the heavy-handed like punishment tactics that we do on each other, I think it causes more trauma long-term than change, than transformation. I think shame and guilt can bring change, sure, but I think kindness, dialogue, understanding actually leads to people changing their minds. A changed mind is way more powerful than just changed behavior from the outside. So if we as a culture are going to treat each other like you don't have the right to disagree with me, because fundamentally, if you disagree with me, that means that you are ... we're in big trouble. And I hear this and see this a lot. People don't have the intelligence. They're not using their intelligence to say, I can disagree with you deeply. Your argument is for my, like how Steve has said on our podcast, your whole thing is about destroying me. And I can still look at you, hear you, talk with you. If we lose the ability to dialogue, I think as a nation, we are going to suffer in massive ways. And so I want to say this to the people that would even care about what I have to say. If you disagree with me, if you disagree with someone, like there's stuff I fight to change. but I don't want to hurt the people. I want to see the idea transformed. I want to see the culture shifted. I want what used to work to end. Just like the law. The law came like a guardian in some way, and then it ran out of steam, and now it's grace. I want the law of sin and death that we are putting on one another to end, so that the law of life and grace and freedom and transformation can actually be the thing. And I'm a little bit concerned because when I watch people debate, they're not being intelligent enough to go, I don't have to disagree with you, and I can believe that everything you're saying is poison. And I'm not going to dishonor you. I'm not going to name call you, but I will work with you to see if there's any give and take here. There's a very strong culture of anger and rage, and it's justifiable pain, and I get it. And I'm not out to speak to that. I'm saying when you disagree with someone, how do you do that? Do we even have a standard that says it should be different than that? I believe we do. I'm just processing out loud what I'm seeing in the last week is that how about this? Yeah. Okay. Mark 9, that's where we're going to go. Sorry, you guys. This is what I was going to say. There's some really very serious stuff that's going on in people's hearts and minds. There's some real potential to change. Systems, structures, cultures, they could shift. And that's very, very interesting, especially because just a month ago we were talking about grief, and that grief is connected to change. And when things change, we all have to grieve. So I'm not trying to insinuate that you don't have a response to all the change that's happening, that it's landing for you in a very painful way. And you're like, whoa, like, I don't like this change. So what do we tend to do when things change? We deny it. We try to barter with it. We get depressed about it. We get angry about it. Then we accept it. Then it might start over again. It's not just like so simple, but all of us are going through the 5 stages of grieving the world we knew. All of us are doing that. Some of you guys are accepting it, but you're super pissed. Some of you guys are denying it because you're so scared. Some of you guys are you're so depressed that it's happening, and you're watching all this stuff going on, that you're stuck in depression when you look at the world. All of us are in one of the 5 stages of grief right now over the whole thing. All of us are grieving right now. Whether we're grieving because we've got hope to change the world, or we're grieving because we think we're losing the world, whatever that is, all of us are in grief right now. It's happened. It is happening right now. So how do we disagree with one another? Are you going to... So I don't want us as Christian people to do you're wrong, I'm right, get out. I'm saying this as Christians, Jesus didn't treat us that way. Period. I don't know I got to find the address. You know the thing where Jesus tells the parable of the guy that doesn't have the money? And so Jesus just freely forgives the debt of $1 bajillion. And then the dude that gets forgiven the debt of $1 bajillion goes and finds the guy that owes him $100 and is grabbing him by the neck and is like, pay me. That's what we're doing to one another. If you've been forgiven by Jesus, you have to forgive everyone. If you've experienced the mercy of Jesus, we have to be merciful to everyone. It doesn't mean that we're going to have deep relationship with everyone. But we don't get to do I'm sliming you and this is who you are. This is the category you fit in. Now get out. We don't get to do that to each other. If we're Christians, we don't get to do that to each other. You do not. Or, someone just said Matthew 18. Let me see if I find it. Sorry, you guys. Again, I'm just riffing. I'm just riffing. I'm so old. Why am I talking hey guys, I'm just riffing here. Let me just riff for you. Chrissy Green, I'm riffing. I don't think she's still watching me, but I like when she watches me. But I just, okay, yeah, the parable of the unmerciful servant. Thank you. Matthew chapter 18, verse 21. Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother when he sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you not 7 times, but 77 times. Oh, I love you, Chrissy Green. She's here for it. Chrissy Green, I'm riffing. How do I look? Do I look good riffing? Thumbs up, Chris, if I look good riffing. Anyways, she's in the kitchen being an actual like good mom, talking with kids and like hanging out, so I can do this circus of a thing. Okay. 70 times 7. He's like, you need to forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive. Now, I'm just being clear. There's people in my life that I've forgiven. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I don't have trust for them. I don't trust them. We're not in connected relationship. I don't trust them. So they're not really actively a deep part of my life. But I'm working really hard to, there's no debt record. I don't have the right to keep the record of wrongs. I don't have the right to keep the list of their wrongs. I have to forgive that. But there are people in my life that I feel like, yo, I'm good with forgiving them, but I do not trust them. There's not a good relationship there. So I don't have to take them into my heart, but I definitely don't want to wish ill will on people, right? So the standard isn't everybody gets in, but the standard is everybody gets in. Like everybody gets into him. But we don't always agree with everything. So I understand that there's differences. Like even I was talking with my homie Howdy yesterday, you know, the disciples had a really strong disagreement and they had to part company at a certain point. Now I think that's really sad. When I read it, I go, I hate that that's it. But that's why I love the Bible, is I think it has all the good and all the bad that we do. It's a very honest thing. It's like God's like, hey, you guys be good. And they're like, how about we do war? And he's like, oh, right? In the New Testament, you've got people like when the disciples do stuff and strike people blind, I'm like, failure. I think that's a failure. I think that's a bad story. I don't think that's a good story. When it makes everyone afraid, I don't think that's a good story. So I like that the Bible has the good, the bad, and the ugly about what all of us do to each other, because we're still doing it. So what I'm saying is I presently have people that are Christians in my world. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I'm trying very desperately to forgive them when they pull bonehead moves and hurt people, including me. But I don't trust them. We don't have relationship because it's not a safe and trusting relationship. But they're clear. They're clear before the Lord. They're clear with me in some ways. But I'm not going to invest at a certain point. That's my journey in relationships. I'm not saying we all have to pretend to be friends with everybody. But we do not get to hold this thing. So Matthew 18 says, therefore, the kingdom of heaven, Jesus is talking, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 talents was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. Can you see it? You can't afford it, and this should be your punishment. This is what I'm owed. The king says to the person, you owe me, you can't afford it, so I get your whole life. I get your wife, your children, your property, all of it. This is what you owe me. Wow. The servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged. I will pay back everything. Please be patient with me. I will do right. Give me time. I will figure this out. I will do right. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. I love these stories because every time Jesus speaks about this idea that we all have these debts to one another, we know what it's like to have a debt outstanding. And when it comes to punishment for the debt, Jesus always says the kingdom is like a guy that's like, how much do you owe me? Okay. If I cancel that, will you love me more or less? The reason Jesus forgives the debts is so that the people will see how good he is value and appreciate him and love him more. He wants our love, not our debt. He doesn't care about that. He cares about the heart of people. So I love when Jesus talks about forgiving debts. That's our culture. Our culture is of forgiveness forever. That's it. So he says he wasn't able to pay his master. Be patient with me. He begged, and I will pay back everything. That's a humble heart. So I'm going to say this. There's a lot of people that want, they want to experience the fullness of forgiveness from a place of pride. I'm just saying you might get forgiven, but you're not going to experience the full heart of God if you've got pride in you. If you can't come to God in humility, if you can't come to one another with humility, you're not going to get the fullness of what this thing is. It's just not going to happen. And so what do you see? You see him saying, I see the problem. Like, say you're on the other end of the political spectrum from me. I'm on the other side of the political spectrum from you. We do not agree. And we feel you owe me something because of your position. All you and all your people, you all owe me something. Whoa. So if we're holding the debt on either side and we don't have mercy and we don't have humility and we're not willing to say, be patient with me. I want to do right by you too. We're not going to experience the fullness of connection that's available. We're not going to set a different kind of standard. Because at this point, everyone wants to punish each other into change. It's not going to happen. I don't think. I'm saying there's got to be some change. But I mean, if we punish one another thinking that we're going to get, if I give you fear and hurt and shame and pain, and I think it's going to make love and truth and mercy and kindness, the math doesn't add up. If you're going to sow seeds of judgment and punishment and fear and hurt, I don't think the tree that grows there is going to be justice and fairness and righteousness and holiness and purity and freedom. I think it's going to be control, manipulation, more punishment. Does this make sense? So we have to think, what kind of seeds are we going to sow into the lives of the people that disagree with us? If we're not able to even see them as people, holy smokes. If they're just the issue and they're not human beings to you on any side, you're going to miss it. Jesus looks at every person and sees every single person, knows where they are. And so if we as Christians can't see one another when we disagree, you can't see each other as human beings and people that are just as worthy and just as deserving of God's love as you were, you're blowing it. You're blowing it. You shouldn't call yourself a Christian. You should just call yourself a whatever else. We should take his name out of our mouth if that's how we're going to treat each other. We should not be calling ourselves followers of Jesus if we're going to take his mercy and punish other people with how right we are, how good we are, how whatever that's missing, which is what this parable says, which I'm going to get back to the Bible and stop talking. Okay. He wasn't able to pay. His servant fell. Servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. He was free to go. Didn't just cancel the debt and make him stay. Like, now you owe me with your time and your life. Like, canceled the debt and said, be free. Go. Wild how merciful that is. Crazy. But when that servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me and I will pay you back. Be patient with me. I will give you what I owe you. Be patient with me. Be patient with me. Be patient with me. And I will pay you back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were greatly distressed and went and told their master everything that had happened. What am I saying in this parable that I think is really powerful that's popping up as we read it? When the other servants saw what was happening, they were greatly distressed. The way we treat one another affects everyone. Everyone sees how we are dealing with one another. We either look like the first to forgive, the first to be humble, the first to stop the arguing and get to the heart, the first to be kind, the first to be patient. We're either the first people to love or we're just like everything else. We have an opportunity in moments like this to be the first person to look like Jesus or the first person to look exactly like what they think fake Christians look like. We get to choose. But the point is, we are all in public. We are all on. And people are looking for love. They're looking for truth. They're looking for change. They're looking for transformation. They're looking for something that will matter. And when you see humility, when you see forgiveness, when you see love, when you see something so counterculture as the way of Christ between normal people like us, even if it's offensive in the moment, dude, it sticks with people. We have a chance to sow seeds of Jesus Christ into the culture that surrounds us. Or we can be infected by that same spirit that would be merciful when it came to God and totally punishing when it comes to other people. This is not Christianity. Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is like, and he shows this picture. I owed Jesus like a $1 million debt, and I couldn't pay it. I didn't have it. I could not pay that back. And he looked at me and he said, I will be patient with you. I will be kind with you. I don't want that debt. I want you. I don't want you to make it right. I want you. I want you. I want you to be with me. It's in being with me. That's when everything is made right when it comes to God. So what I'm saying is, I'm not going to go out. I don't have the right. When I go out after being forgiven $1 million, someone in our community, someone outside of our community, someone that was a part of our community, someone that I don't even know, cuts me off in traffic, pisses me off, hurts my friend, lies about something, I don't have the right to go, now you owe me. The minute I do that, I step outside of the place that Jesus has for me. And I do it all the time. I can't even tell you the level that I can resent someone so fast. And I forget in that moment the outstanding mercy that Jesus has shown me. So if you are a Christian and you hear this ever, and we're in love school together, how we are supposed to love the people, all the people, every people, all the people, be patient, be humble, be the first to love, be the first to say you're sorry, be the first to say I want to understand, be the first to say you can always talk to me, be the first to say I want to have you in my life. I don't want this to stand in the way. How do we do this? Be the first to say, whatever happens, I love you. Be the first to do that. Because it's good for our soul as Christians. Otherwise, we literally have been forgiven $1 bajillion, and we are holding $1 million debt, and we've been forgiven of that, and we've got $20 that this person owes us, and we're like, no, I'm not going to let them in until they pay me back my $20. It's tyrannical. It's totally antichrist. In the face of that kind of mercy, I blow it, and I don't think it's right. And right now, the stakes are so high because if you stand in different points of the political spectrum, you could be signifying by your allegiance to your politics that certain people are less important, right? Either side, you could be saying, no, my people are more important. No, my people are more important. And Jesus is like, no, all of you. There's no favoritism with God. So we don't get to do favorites. We don't get to do that. When it comes to people, we have to actually stand in such a hard tension for the sake of true love. We don't get to play the game. We just do not get to play that game. We can't. Or we will be that servant from Matthew 18 that's been forgiven $1 million and refuses to forgive anyone else because they owe us $20, they owe us $40, they owe someone else $100, and so throw them in jail until put them in prison until they get it. It's not our culture. It's just not our culture, you guys. That's all I'm saying. It's not our culture to have been given everything by the Lord, to have been given everything by Jesus, and then to hold this little scrap against someone else. Again, I'm saying this time out. I don't have to trust everybody and let them fully into my heart, but I do not get to judge or keep them out in that way that we do. We don't get to keep people out. The master called the servant, "You wicked servant. I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had in you?" Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant just as I had mercy on you? In anger, the master turned him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. He says this is how the Father does it. He says, if you want to do punishment, I will give you over to punishment mentality. When that happens to us, it drives us crazy. The only way out of punishment is in mercy and forgiveness. That's it. If you want to play the punishment game, he will give you over to that mind. You can have that mindset, but it's going to work against you too. That's how God does it. He goes, hey, I want you to act like I would act. And we go, no. And he goes, okay, do you? And the tension and the pain of it will drive you nuts until you decide it's easier to let God be God than you. And then he lets you out of that cycle. And immediately the whole world is different because mercy. Oh, wow. But if we want to play the punishment game with one another, all of us will have the punishment mindset. All of us will be subject to slavery, and we will treat one another like slaves. And the minute we get merciful and step out of that cycle, the minute we choose mercy instead of judgment, the minute we choose mercy instead of judgment, either side, left or right, red or blue, black, white, brown, gay, straight, whatever, the minute you choose mercy instead of judgment, heaven opens up. All of a sudden, it's heaven on earth. Heaven on earth feels like mercy instead of judgment, because judgment can be a truth, but just like we see, mercy actually triumphs over judgment. Mercy is the higher way. Love, Jesus' love, is the higher way. We do a weird version of love here. His love is powerfully different. The substance of God's love towards the human heart can actually transform someone. It's wild. So what I'm saying is, we don't get to play the game of punishment. We don't get to play the game of retribution. We don't get to play the game of you're on that team, I'm on this team. We don't get to do that. The minute you decide what team you're on, Jesus really will go stand with the other team. Then you have to choose. Do you want your team or do you want him? That's what he's going to keep doing, you guys. He's not going to let us out of this thing easy. We get to either be the wicked servant that's punishing the other guy, or we get to be like him and love. We get to be mercy, or we get to be judgment. But if you do judgment, he's going to give you over to the judgment mind. And if you have the judgment mind towards people, you will drive yourself insane, because humans that love Jesus are meant to run on mercy, not run on that kind of pride. We don't do well when we want to play God. We do not do right. When we need to be God, we become horrendous. We are so messed up because we were never meant to sit in that judgment seat, ever. When we do mercy instead of judgment, we allow God to be the just judge, and he looks at everyone and sees everyone uniquely. He knows everything that goes into all of their decisions that they've made. He knows the things that they just cannot do, and he knows the things that they have done. He knows how to save someone's life. And we don't. We don't always know how to save someone's life. So if you want to do judgment, you're going to have the judgment head. And I know what that's like. I know the grinding of the gears, like this guy, and then he did this, and I drive myself bananas trying to prove how right I am to God, that they're wrong and I'm right. And he goes, do you want to be right? Do you want to be correct in your judgment, or do you want to be like me? And then I get to choose. Do I want to be on my team, or do I want to be on his? And I think we're going to keep hitting this wall. Doesn't mean that there's not real change that can come. Doesn't mean that there's not political pressure. Doesn't mean that people aren't living and dying because of unjust things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that in the midst of that, if you're trying to make heaven on earth politically, you're going to come up short if you don't have the right mind. And that's what I'm saying. Christ mind, Holy Spirit. Christ mind, Holy Spirit. Or judgment mind, human spirit. Both are strong, just one is infinitely more powerful than the other. And so I want to see Christ mind, I want to see Holy Spirit in people. Christ's mind, Holy Spirit. I don't want to see our justice mind and our human spirit contending, because then it's all the same. It's all the same stuff. And it's a version of power that's going to change stuff. But I think it's more about punishment and fear and shame. It's not about restoration and holiness and wholeness and truth. Anyways, hope that makes sense, you guys. That was like 40 minutes. I feel like we did good. We did good, right? We did stuff. Anyway, so, hey, Sunday service. Woo! We did the thing. Anyways, stay posted, please. If you need anything, for those of you guys that are, well, I would say this too. If you just need to begin again, if you need to reset where you're at in your heart and your mind, if you feel like you've been storing up poison from the images, from the conversations, from the atmosphere around you, and your body's just starting to get locked up because you're tense and you're angry and you're frustrated and you're so pissed, and it's like, I don't know how to get out of this cycle. Let's just do this for a second. I'd invite you wherever you are, if you can, if you're not like driving. Go ahead and close your eyes. Father in heaven, holy, holy, holy. You are God. I am not. Let your kingdom come, and let your will be done in me, in my heart, in the earth, the way it ultimately is in heaven. Thank you for meeting my needs today. Forgive me for my sin, for my arrogance, for my fears that cause me to react. Forgive me for my sins in my heart, in my mind. Forgive me where I miss it. Please erase the debt record, erase the wrongs. And I choose right now to forgive everyone that I'm holding a record of wrongs against. I forgive the people in my life that have hurt my feelings. I forgive the people online that I've taken offense with. I forgive the very real humans that are really, they're doing like wicked and evil things to me, that I feel like it's bad what they're doing. I choose to step back. God, have mercy on them. Have mercy on them. Forgive them, God. Forgive them, God, like you've forgiven me. Don't hold it against them, God. Forgive me. I don't know what I'm doing. Forgive them, God. They don't know what they're doing. Forgive us, because we don't know what we're doing all the time. Lead us into freedom. Please lead us away from temptation. Deliver us from the evil one. Deliver us from evil. When we're heading towards evil, God, deliver us from it. God, yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory. Yours is the glory. Not any one person, one system, one nation, one planet. God, yours is the glory. Take all of the glory forever and ever and ever. Amen. I think we need to recognize that God's love is so powerful, and Jesus is he's such a genius at getting a hold of our heart, that I think the biggest thing we can do is just say to Jesus, Jesus, I surrender my heart to you today. I surrender my heart to you. I surrender my mind to you. I don't want to be right and be sort of trapped in how wrong this all feels to me. I surrender to you, God. Go ahead and lead me, teach me, let me follow you. I've noticed that there's a sense of peace or refreshing that can come to the inside when that happens, and so I really believe that surrender is a powerful, powerful thing when it comes to Jesus. It's so counterintuitive to how we want to be. He invites us to be weak so that we can be strong, which is so weird because I think we're used to trying to be strong so that we can be strong. So anyways, that's what I'd say is you guys take an opportunity today to be weak. Such a horrible encouragement. Be weak today, guys. Let's talk about how rad it is to be weak. Yay! So anyways, be the first to be weak, whatever that is. Be the first to be weak in a culture that's fighting so hard to see how strong they are. Be the first. Be the first to give up. Fight hard, guys. Give up. Okay, anyways. Hey, I love you guys a lot. If you need anything, you can message us. For those of you guys that have been messaging us, and we've been giving it to the pastoral team at Rev. Thank you guys. Please know there's people to pray for you, to talk, to just support you in your own journey. You don't know us that well, but if you need anything, we'd love to pray for you and with you. Know that you can be sort of supported in a heart way, even if we're not in the same area. So yeah, feel free to message us here online. You can email us at therevgatherings@gmail.com. If you want to kind of explore and maybe reach out to our team to become part of our community, you can visit therevgatherings.com and check it out. And we're praying for you guys. I'll see you guys. We'll have new podcasts out in the coming week. I'll hopefully see you guys in a week. So say pray words. Love you guys a lot. Okay, bye. Cool. Doing stuff.